Now this looks a bit of a jungle, but this is an allotment plot, and the trees you can see there are the trees that I didn't chop down last year. All of this lot has been chopped down with a chainsaw, and you can see all the ash tree seedlings that have been growing here. I've put up some growth. Now if we can look at this growth, there you go, you've got these ash poles. Now these are perfect pea sticks, and if you look around this plot, it's got thousands of them. So with a nice pair of long-handled loppers, go and trim off all the ash poles that are growing in any weedy area. And the reason we got so many is because there's ash trees all around, and the ash trees have actually set seed, and these seeds are what we're looking at now. So it's not my allotment, I'm not taking it over, I'm not paying any of the bills. However, nobody's going to rent it like this, are they? So I shall go over again and lop off all my pea sticks, and because I chopped them down last year, my pea sticks are perfectly straight. Yeah, if you cut them this time of year, let them dry out and they'll be dead when you poke them in the ground for your peas. So you don't really want them to root and grow away, but they're really handy for this sort of thing. So look out for ash poles. There's not much else in this allotment that I could really service and find useful for, but it's always worth looking at the abandoned plots. There might be something useful in them. This one's mainly been rubbish. However, my kids have gone and salvaged the tyres from this allotment, and they're weighing down my landscape fabric. The landscape fabric should really have wood chip on top of it, so I've got to organise and see if I can find somebody to give us some wood chip. The wood chip, sometimes if you ring local companies, tree cutting services and that sort of thing, the rubbish wood chip, the wood chip which is the least good quality, made of old leylands, is usually given away free. So what I shall do in my allotment is ask if I can get it dumped by the gate, and they'll come in the lorry, tip it and be happy because they can go home empty, and then all the allotment holders then can grab a couple of barrels full of wood chip, and that should weight down all my landscape fabric and make it a nice surface to walk on. And so even in muddy weather like today. And this is my allotment. Now you can see all the weed on it. This is the bit that I rotivated, and rotivators are great things. You can dig the plot in no time. The trouble is they take all the weeds, chop them up, and they grow twice as bad. However, that bit, which is twice as much, it's been dug by hand, and you can see there's hardly any regrowth on it. There is some, and I shall go work my way through that this year. At the minute, the worst bit is going to be hand done, and then when we're done that, it'll probably be rotavator job for the rest. And the nice thing about the rotavator is you can use it several times during the year to keep the ground fluffy, and believe you me, it does. And also grass cuttings and things like that, you can actually rotivate them in, and they actually work well in your soil. And a lot of garden books it says don't do it, but I find it's the best way of getting rid of grass cuttings is to sprinkle them on the surface thinly and rotivate them in, and it does a fantastic job. Watch your grass cuttings. If you have anything like one of these lawn feeds with moss killers and stuff like that in it, don't use them. Bag them up, put them in the recycling where they'll be mixed with other waste and diluted enough. But if you put them on your allotment, try and grow anything out of them, well, you might find you've got problems. Anyway, too wet to dig today, but I have done quite well. I managed to grab an hour at the weekends and take another metre out and dig it off. You can see the grass is in there, but most of this grass is dead grass. The reason why it's dead grass is because it's from my rabbit's cage, or my kids' rabbit's cage, and all I do is dig it in, take it down in a big bag, There you go, and just dig it in, and that stops the soil from panning hard. It doesn't go quite so sad so quickly, and it also keeps drainage. Not just drainage, it allows little air pockets for the roots to work their way into. So that's what I like to do this. It's another form of wet trenching. It's possibly not the best garden trick you could ever use, but it's a compromise. I've got to get rid of it. I need to improve this soil. I can't get the right sort of manure that I want without spending a fortune, and if I did, I haven't got time to move it up here. So great, I can dig in some weed on hay and some sawdust, and that'll lighten the soil up a fair bit. If you can see now, you can see my soil, it's different colours, and you can see the dark colour, and then there's streaks of lighter brown, and this is lightish reddy brown. It's not so visible on the iPad, but you can see it, the two different colours. Now that's because I've nipped into the subsoil and I've taken out a full spit, which is well over 12 inches, which is what is it, 30 centimeters deep of soil, and turned it over. This is quite deep because this is sad, hard packed soil, and I've turned it out, and it's twice, you know, it's a good 12 inches higher than the surrounding soil now, because I've turned it out and added air into it. I want to keep that air. I want to keep off this as much as I possibly can, and don't let it become so sad, so compacted again. It is a clay soil. Clay is not bad. It hangs on to moisture, but it can be really bad if you exclude the air from it by walking on it too much. So keep it nice and fluffy, and that's what I'm going to try and do. And then it's, of course, it's going under landscape fabric here. So, and I've also found, I don't know whether you can see, I shall turn it down. There you go. You can see stick-like objects laying on the surface, or roots. Now these are black roots, and they're of a plant called equisetum, which is horsetail or cattail or mare's tail, and that grows quite a lot in this heavy clay soil. Not too worried about it. I've dug them over, and I'm also going to exclude the daylight from them, so I don't anticipate them being a problem for me. Not that they ever are anyway, but this is quite bad for it. However, the stuff that I've already dug over once last year, the cattail, mare's tail, has pretty much gone from now, and it's not because I picked the roots out, it just doesn't like being cultivated. Okay, that's it for today's Grow Joe. It's Vince here, signing off.